know,
Ready when you are.
Okay, captured, they have everything? Okay, make a motion, we open the workshop.
A second.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Wills.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Lembeck.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, so this is not really a regular meeting, this is an informal workshop for the board to discuss a singular item, which is a parking code review and discussion, but for the sake of the record, is there any conflict of interest or any disclosure regarding this item from any of the board members?
I have no.
I do not.
I have not. I do not.
I do not. Okay. Dorothy, I know you had an administrative matter here.
Yes, just real quick, the board approved the Davy tree. With approving it, there was some misunderstanding that it was a bill. It's not a bill. It's a request of a service contract to continue the spraying in the arboretum. And
Oh, the
I wanted-
invasives.
For the invasives, and
Okay.
I wanted to know if the board wanted to continue that process.
Yes.
So to do that for this upcoming year was the $4,844. So I need approval to go ahead and sign the contract if that's was.
Oh, we need a motion.
Right, if that was the board's intent. I think you thought it was an outstanding.
I think you did too. I think that's.
That's why
yeah.
I wanted to make.
Oh,
sure.
thank you for the clarification.
So.
And
if you
would you be able to sign the contract and the motion would be for you to sign it or me?
Yeah, for me.
Okay, okay. Is there a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to permit Dorothea to sign the contract.
For David Trees. I second.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Wills.
Aye.
Trustee Lembeck.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'll get this in the mail, get that taken care of. I'm gonna leave you, and Alexandria is very capable. If I dig through my desk.
Right. Okay. No, thanks for clarifying that.
No problem.
That's great. Okay. Again, this is a workshop. It's just sort of, let's just maybe dig in. We know we've had, some concerns about parking in the code, particularly relative to, businesses coming before the boards for applications. And, you know, what do we do with parking? If you would get it, it seems that it's sort of a wash, rinse, repeat for everybody needing a variance and going, you know, it elongates the process. They have to go back to planning and zoning board and then come back to our board. And I just thought, we all have been talking about this, not just me, but I think it's timely for us to maybe really take a look at the code. There's some information that was sent out, a couple of articles. Do we have a parking map in here too, right?
Yeah.
Yep, so you can see that. And Jason, thank you, and Dee for, you know, coming up with just some general numbers for how many parking spaces we have. I missed it, I just saw it, so I just printed that out. And maybe just for background on that, you folks that came up with sort of the first brush. Our village is less than a mile square around, and we have at least 487 places to park. And that includes parking on our streets and in municipal lots. It does not include, you know, when you park at the pickle factory for an event or, you know, the other lots that open up as needed, you know. It's just, this is the bare amount sort of a.
Didn't even include the library lot.
Okay,
Oh, wow.
this doesn't even include the library lot. And my understanding is, and this is from talking with other villages in Monroe County, we have per capita the greatest amount of parking spots
Wow.
of any of these municipalities. So, which, you know, brings me to just another point that I would love to have everybody weigh in on, because we're essentially built out as a village, and we are taking a look at what we have currently for parking. And I think it's really more the, for us to discuss, do we look to create code where there's relief in mandated parking requirements? Do we abate the minimum parking requirements? What would that look like? And the articles that I included are, and this is a trend, just some cities that have done this. They did it for different reasons. I don't think it matters so much what the reason is. It's what the outcome is, you know, for the community. What, you know, did it work? Were there issues? We're built out, you know, And so what I've been seeing, and this is even going back many, many years ago, when I first moved back, applicant after applicant would have to come up for businesses, would have to come up with parking, and they would always use the same, oh, we can park in, the lot behind Reed, oh, we can park in the library lot. Well, if everybody could do that with every single applicant, all the cars would be stacked on top of each other. So I think, we really just have to look at reality. Where are we now? And I welcome everybody's thoughts. That's what a workshop's about. So that's.
Larry Boyce was just here, the owner, one of the owners of Reed, I guess, and his biggest issue, and he's gonna be coming in to speak against the application for the pizza shop up here. His that merchants and employees, town employees, they're parking in the 2-hour spots, behind the building, in
Mhm.
front of the building. And he blames the lack of enforcement, for those people being allowed to do that. So that's basically, I think, what he's gonna look at. My own personal feeling is that, we make regulations that people have to have so many parking spots and whatnot, but you look at really congested areas of New York City, would be the extreme. People make it work. There's parking spots available, and if people are gonna do something, they'll find a place to.
They may have to walk another block.
They might.
It's about
and-
walking.
and, I think that was one of the complaints when Ben and Jerry's left many years ago. People didn't want to walk from behind the library. And in a lot of cases, your walk is shorter than what you've got parking your car and going into Wegmans.
Or Eastview Mall, right?
They gotta
Yeah.
walk through them all, right?
So, I really think parking fixes itself, but I would support enforcement of town employees or business employees,
Mhm.
that it used to be that they parked on the side streets away from the main
Which is
area.
legal.
Yeah, so I would support that,
So thanks for bringing that up, because I think that we're looking then at two different aspects of this. One is enforcement of what's already current, and the other is what do we want this to look like for our community in terms of an actual code in the
Right.
future, sort of two, part A and B.
Right.
I did speak with the supervisor at the town about the concerns, because the enforcement officer also works for the town
sure.
and takes direction from the town as well. So I believe they're looking at other options for some town employees that are outside of that lot behind Breathe, and are looking to negotiate something. That was a recommendation that I made, and it looks like they're gonna follow up on it. I think in terms of enforcement, we can even take that offline and just, make that happen. I think for purposes of the workshop, maybe we stick to the code, and what would that look like? I can say, and I appreciate how you framed, the idea of having to walk to get to a space, to a business. Because what really we're seeing when a lot of cities are just saying we will not have any minimums anymore, parking seeks its own water level, and I can remember a conversation that I had with the owner of Lot 32, where they were seeing if there were, events and people wanted to come into Lot 32, everybody would share an Uber. They're seeing other forms of transportation for people coming into the village. If I'm in the village, I'll just walk, but other people who would just want to come into the area. So I think even if we were to, lift the minimums or, abandon any minimum requirements, I think it would be business as usual and a little more walking.
Mayor, I'd like to make a comment.
Yeah,
Don,
please
I
do.
agree with
Yeah.
everything you said. And I don't think we even have to look as far as New York City. Let's look at Park Avenue.
Yeah.
Park Avenue is saturated, and people figure out how to park. And the businesses aren't suffering. They're always filled.
Yeah.
So I think that, again, I agree with you. I think it would take care of itself. In general, it would just kind of ease out. There's some busy times, there's some not so busy times, and I think that
Mhm,
people will find a way to find
Mhm.
parking space.
mhm.
So it looks like one of the major issues is section, what is it, 210 -25.2. I think that's pretty much what you're talking about, is effectively the minimum parking space requirements as they stand today.
210.25.2.
Yes.
Oh, you're looking at the chart.
Oh,
You're looking at
yeah,
the
yeah.
chart.
Yep.
Okay, just so,
C in particular.
C, yep.
oh, see, minimum space.
Okay, got it, yeah.
Go down to
Mhm.
commercial,
Mhm.
and it looks like it was amended in 2021.
Mhm.
Is there, I just personally don't have the history of that. Was there a reason why this was created this way, of one spot per 4 seats plus one per employee? Because I'm assuming it's not currently being like of the restaurants that we have,
Mhm.
how many are actually doing it?
Oh,
You know what I mean? Like,
even if it was amended fairly recently, I think, we'd have to go back, maybe look at the minutes or something like that. I mean, I wasn't part of that, but I'm thinking
No.
even if it was amended, it still may not be applicable or doable. And that's why we're here in a workshop, you know? Yeah, Steve.
I remember that because what it used to be is 1 per 3 seats.
Oh,
So
So it works.
they loosened it a little bit.
Oh, so this was
because it
loosening.
Yeah, it made it virtually impossible.
so they kind of went part of the way, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
gave it a little break, but it went from 1
Oh,
per 3 to 1.
Okay.
So, Steve, do you know, like, is anybody adhering to that, like, or has everybody gone and tried to, they've gotten a variance or something like that?
No, but every business has come in for variance.
Because of the
Because of it,
current
nobody is actually.
regulation.
Any business comes into our village center has to come in and get a variance for parking.
So
Okay, so that's a clear
yeah,
problem.
which is where I started out. In other words, the code isn't addressing the reality of what we have. In other words, let's start with the empirical evidence. And we're built out. So it's interesting because you're right, they amended the code, but it kind of didn't go far enough,
Yeah.
for whatever their reasons were. I mean, you can't speak for another board, but that's what they did. And at least they kind of went in the right direction. But it still didn't solve the situation for a business that has to keep going to different boards to get a variance to do that. Yeah.
No.
Okay, thank you for that.
Okay, because as someone who used to be on the PZBA, and I'm sure Dave, you probably ran into the same thing. Half of their people coming in are variances for either this or for every single house being above the, the lot coverage.
Yeah, the law covers,
Percentage.
because that's pre-existing non-conforming. That's our mantra.
Exactly. So it's almost like those are some of the things that would not only clean up what is clearly not feasible here, but also loosen the burden on another board that is effectively spending their time dealing with problems in our country.
Well, I mean, if you look at somebody coming with a new business, they're might have spent every dime to create something for themselves and their family, and then we're asking, here's an extra $450 just for
Just
something to do, you know what I mean? If we don't have to do it, do we need to do it?
Well, I mean, I think, again, the question is, how does the code as it stands now serve our entire community? Whether it's residents or business, residents are sort of, this is really more business oriented. So, and I think, how does this affect our business community then is really the question. And we know it's affecting the business community. And the training I've had is that when you have a significant number of the same requests for variances with other boards over and over again, you need to take a look at your code. Because your code isn't actually reflecting the truth of what the situation is. The empirical.
I have a question, because you made a good point, focusing mostly on commercial,
Yeah.
because would you ever get a resident coming in and saying, I need 3 parking spaces, or I can only have 2?
Well, no, this is geared to business.
Yeah, but I mean, it's in the code and
Yeah.
what we're looking at.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so residents don't really do it, and I'm sure they're
No.
using 3, not 2. So, they're making it work and not coming in for variances when they're buying a house,
Yeah, you're right.
right?
Yeah.
And things are doing quite well.
Never have one from
Yeah, right?
I get, not that I
I
can.
don't even think they know there is one, to be honest. but it's working.
Yeah,
without
yeah.
Having to come in to get an extra parking spot.
Like
for
no
them.
one's had complaint, in other
How it's
words,
done,
you look
right.
at complaints, you look at, a
Exactly.
negative impact. And we're just simply, we don't have that, any documentation of that in terms of any negative impact. The impact that we have is that we're just simply built out. Not anybody's problem. It's just a fact. It's a statement of fact. Period.
So it seems like clearly this is a problem. On one extreme, I'm just trying to think about like,
Mhm.
okay, now what?
Mhm.
So on one extreme, there is what you talked about earlier, which is you can, in some places have done this, remove.
Yeah, remove minimum
These
parking requirements,
Obviously, another way is trying to come up with some sort of data-driven number for how, or formula for how you can calculate something that's more realistic based off of our specific setup. So I guess if we all agree that this is something that probably needs to be changed or modified or amended, whatever you want to say, now what, in terms of what approach do we want to take, if we all agree to that, to come up with something that works?
So my suggestion is, can we do something where we do a pilot? Where we release for a year and do some research and see, just kind of keep track, are there complaints, are we seeing any issues? As a quote a pilot, it would kind of ease us into it a little bit and let the residents know we're researching this, and if we don't see anything, then we know that releasing it's not gonna cause trouble.
Well, we also have information ongoing. We have data. We could pull data right now. How many variances have come before the planning and zoning board for businesses? Maybe you can pull those numbers. I mean, I don't know that we need a year to go through everything. I think we're here right now. We have data that we can pull, and I think we should pull it. I think that's a really good point. Who keeps going for various,
Yeah.
if this is something wash, rinse, repeat, we know that then, we
Right.
work from that.
And it would support it.
And if you're looking for a data-driven formula, then let's take a look. What would that look like? What does that mean? Is the formula, most of these, and you see it in the articles, most of the cities said, we don't even need a formula. We have the data already. This is where we are. A lot of the larger cities removed the minimum requirements because they knew they needed more housing. But see, our reason would be different. No matter what the reason is, you end up with the same result, potentially, of just abating minimum requirements, giving relief to business owners coming in who want to open a business, because now it shortens their time frame to open a business, because now they don't have to keep going to another board for a variance and spending more time and money, so I think we have the data and we can pull all of that from records.
The data is great, but it's not gonna change the situation.
I agree.
We can say that, we've got this and this and this, but we've still got the same situation. So I would be more in favor of eliminating the minimum requirements. We've got Steve looking at all these applications and
Yeah.
and most of them are very standard. And if he gets one that's gonna have a particular circumstance, like it's, they need a special loading 3 times a day to be extreme.
Mhm.
He could look at that and we could put something in place for that. But I would also very much support town employees and business employees somehow identifying their vehicles, be it a little sticker, whatever it is. So that if they're parking in one of these areas, I mean, we do have a parking monitor. And again, we've got to communicate to the business owners, we've got to communicate to the town. I don't know if our employees are part of that problem, I don't think so.
No.
That, they're required to park off street so that the main business area is open for. The other thing that we've got to do is make sure that one of the things that bothers me is I go to work very early in the morning and I see cars parked Main Street, and I'm sure it's on the side streets too. I mean, we've got, we get a snow event, and we've got these cars there and it goofs up the DPW. So I know enforcement isn't viewed nicely anywhere, but it's there for a reason. And I don't want to lose sight of that.
Why don't we have Jason speak to that, because that's been a discussion. Yeah.
Well, this winter's been obviously a little bit more snowier than years past. we've seen an increase in cars parking overnight in the streets. There's a few areas where we know based on, a certain house or two that have like a one car driveway, 4 kids. They've got to park their car somewhere, so they're in the street, but they usually move them, in the morning once the day starts and we're able to get back through the cleanup. Now, are we going back and readdressing certain areas? Yes. We've worked with our parking enforcer to include myself and Danielle to be able to go out and ticket. So we're able to leave warnings now on a first attempt around.
Yep.
And then if we happen to experience that again, which we've already experienced now we're ticketing. So I think the problem on our end is that these residents see a $30 ticket as a joke and a convenience fee, not a penalty. It's like, well, I'll pay $30 to park here. They're not gonna do it every single time, it's every once in a while, so. I don't know much about what the fees are like, but I do feel like that there might need to be an increase in that to kind of show the weight of, hey, please, it's a serious issue,
Right. I'd like to speak to the fees, and this has been brought up, and typically we would do our fees every year during the organizational meeting, but I believe we can update them anytime. This was brought up by our traffic monitor, who also works for the town, and he said that the fees, should be raised, for non-compliance, and I think he mentioned Fairport, if you're parked overnight and they need to plow, it is $50 every time you do that. And a couple other municipalities, so he put together a memorandum and we can, distill some of that maybe and send it out to the board, just some of the recommendations.
So currently it's $30, right?
I think it's 30, yeah, and I think, his suggestion was, it's $50 if you want to park
When
overnight.
was the last update?
I think,
That I don't know.
We don't.
Not last year, but the year before.
was it the year
The
before?
2024?
Oh, that's right, it was, yeah, that's right, because it used to be 20, I think. it was.
Yes.
You can also escalate fees too. Your first offense is $50, your next one's $100.
Yeah, yeah,
And the question that I've got, I know at one point in time, when they went to court, a lot of them were getting dumped.
Yeah.
And if we're gonna do that, I would have a talk with the magistrates too and say, hey, look, this is a problem
Yeah.
and you dumping the fee.
they dumped it every time.
Yeah,
They
pretty
dumped it every single time, and that has been very frustrating, but he also made a point that if we raise the fee, then the judge sees that we're really taking this seriously, this is really impacting our village.
I don't care if the town puts a surcharge on it, everybody else does. You get a ticket on the thruway and the town's adding $250 to the ticket.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh,
For administration, right?
Yeah.
Administrative
oh,
costs.
admin,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
That was a lot.
Oh, see, whoa, see, I haven't gotten a ticket, just saying.
Table,
What?
they're not gonna have table.
Knock on wood? Yeah.
So when did you guys kind of get the authority to start giving out the warnings and the tickets?
Well, it was sort of an unofficial thing that I saw ticket books in all of our trucks. I said, why do we have
You-
ticket books and nobody's writing tickets?
You have the authority.
And it was never really put up. So I asked, and I said, are we allowed to write tickets? And, Mikey and obviously
Yes.
administration here is like, yeah, absolutely. So I kind of covered our grounds with Mikey. We met up, we did a once over on kind of the process and some of the custom writing we have to do on the tickets. And I said, well, we need to enforce this. So now, we have a potential snowstorm coming Sunday.
Yeah,
We're
big
gonna
one.
have D probably go out at 2 a.m, right when that time clock starts.
Mhm.
Any cars that are out there at 2, call it 2:30, we'll go and ticket them.
But if we've got these guys ticketing, I'd like to see that codified so that, there's,
Exactly.
There's backup, there's.
Yeah.
because somebody could go to the judge and say, these people aren't authorized.
It's not real, yeah,
Right.
exactly.
No.
So
Steve, do you have that capability also?
I believe I do have.
I think you do as well.
I
You know
think
what?
so, too.
So this is gonna be the action item. Good point. I'm gonna follow up with our attorney and make sure that we have this really nailed down. I'm almost positive we do, but
I think Mikey can recite the code that it is.
yeah, he is.
Yeah, that-
Database.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'd like to see another action item where we speak with the magistrates, make sure that they understand what the issue was.
I wouldn't ask our attorney. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe-
However it gets done,
No, I'm just
yeah.
trying to think of
yeah,
procedure. Yeah,
What's up, Jason?
I have one other.
yeah,
And it might just be in our ticketing and code policies, but, one particular incident I can think of is right now on Sutherland, we have a trailer, like a contractor trailer.
yeah.
And sometimes it's a box truck, sometimes it's a contractor trailer, but I believe right now they receive, it might be the same fine. But I feel like it should be different, like if you're parking a vehicle, sure, if you're parking a big trailer or an obstacle or something large like a commercial vehicle. Or an RV or whatever it happens to be out on taking up multiple spaces or, being a safety hazard, which right now this trailer is. I feel like there needs to be a difference in fine for that versus just slapping a ticket on the back of the trailer and then they pay the $30 fine. And again, they look at it as well, it's $30 convenience fee for me, I'll just pay that and, hope that they don't come around the next time around or don't.
Okay, so the action item then, with our attorney is to take a look at
Differentiate
a
between.
fee differentiation for a commercial vehicle or a large scale trailer.
Is this somebody that owns this that lives there or they're
Yes.
working on?
Yes.
Okay.
It's been ongoing.
Long would be the first one's 30, second one's 50, third.
Say first one,
one's 20.
50.
Yes.
Yeah, what John was saying, the escalating of fees. So, yeah, because, clearly what we're charging now is not creating a situation of compliance. They're willing, it becomes a nuisance fee for them and they're willing to pay it. So the idea that it's escalating, there's more skin in the game now.
Well, do you guys start with a warning?
Yeah.
Yeah, always, there's always.
Because, I mean, at a minimum, in the sidewalk stuff that I put together, I mean, I have warning, then $50.
Yeah.
So it can't be that if you're riding a bike, it's $50.
Can I also say this might be a perfect,
Vehicle.
Yeah, like,
and this might be a perfect time to increase the fee now. I think 30, I think we need to go up. Because now we're looking at parking. If we're thinking of releasing, variances for businesses, then this is a good reason we're doing it because we need to maximize our ability to park on the
So
street.
why don't we do
So
this?
it's a good way to back that
What we'll
up.
do, I'll circulate the draft that our traffic monitor sent and up to both of you. Everybody take a look. And then let's bring it back as a draft with action item maybe on the next agenda. Okay, just to kind of start getting us in the loop on this.
Workshop agenda or?
No,
Agenda?
yeah, no, this should be in public, just us reviewing.
Because I'll tell you, when I'm in the city, I don't get any warning. I got a $250 ticket.
Oh, yeah, city
When
big
you're,
time.
yeah, I mean,
Big
you don't get a warning.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like I said, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna need spaces on streets and we shouldn't have warnings.
And I
Too much
think-
work.
I think, for the DPW side of things, once we get that first snowstorm or that first snow event of the season, like let's just call it sometime in November, right after leaf season's starting to slow
Yeah.
down. That's when we really start to kind of take it serious and say, listen, hey, here's the deal, don't forget those parking enforcement rules have started. Here's your warning. Here's
We
what-
put it out in the
here's the
bulletin.
Violation, we put it out in the bulletin, and from there on through, they usually, we know. It's very systematic, we know which vehicles are gonna be where, who and when, they're frequent flyers, like I can give you a dozen of them now.
Yeah.
So that's the ones where I think you take it a little more seriously.
Yeah, who's.
The-
doing what.
One other comment I think I was gonna bring up, and I don't remember which trustee had mentioned it, but is the idea of business owners parking in front of their own business to take up customer spots. And I know that there's several that do this on Main Street, and it just. Bad business practice.
I know,
I'm a
our
business-
monitor
I've
has
been
had.
far away as possible,
Yes.
because I want everybody to have first rights access.
Mhm.
So just something that, I don't know.
Well, that's why I thought if
Yes.
they had something that identified their vehicle.
Yeah,
You know.
If they do it.
If they-
Well,
You
make
know,
it mandatory.
Well-
They're parked there more than 2 hours, they get a
Employee,
ticket.
If the town employee, they could have a sticker down.
Yeah.
well, the way to potentially do that, I know, like, I've helped with stuff with like University of Rochester and like RIT. They'll take down you sign up, your
Mhm.
license plate and a sticker. So if you forget the sticker, they're able to go through and they at least see your.
Right.
license.
Yeah, that's true, that's true.
But you make
yeah.
that a condition, instead of having the minimum parking when they come in to open a business,
They have to
you have
rent-
a requirement that you will sign up your employees so
Exactly.
that we can monitor the parking that's critical to your own business.
Exactly.
So
That's
the
a good
action
idea.
item would be to reach out, to the Chamber of Commerce and let them know that this is something that our board is looking at for the village. So they can bring this back to, the businesses, they're gonna wanna weigh in. Yeah. Okay. All right. That'll be me, I'll put that on me.
Just to circle back to
Yeah.
the whole like gathering data and stuff like that, it would be interesting to see how many people have come to get variances for this over the past, I don't know, whether you pick a period, a year, whatever, 2 years, 3 years, whatever. Just because, again, we all agree that that's the reason why this is a problem. But it would just be interesting to be able
No,
to
what
say
is
like, hey,
I would say it's one of the more significant reasons. I think it's multifactorial.
yeah, of course.
You know.
You know, how many people actually open a business at whatever given time. But it's still would be interesting to just kind of see that.
And in reality.
It's oversight.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have oversight. You have oversight.
When you put parking regulations, the board still.
So I have a question, John. This is concerning Larry Weiss from Breathe. His concern, he is wanting to speak against the variance because he fears that without it, all his parking spaces are gonna be taken up.
Yeah, but also,
So is that gonna be an issue business to business? Like our business is gonna be mad about us.
But John, you brought up a good point, which was, again, I see this as
Unfortunate.
two different, we have what do we do about the mandatory requirements? That's something separate. John brought up initially the point of, in that particular lot, there's issues because, are parking there all day. It's a 2-hour parking window,
Right.
and it's not being enforced.
I also think that Larry surrendered his rights to complain about that lot with a town and a village agreement that pays him, maintains it, and paves it for him.
Another complete factor, but, but look, I think it's a good discussion, and I think, we bring it back to the town, maybe stickers, this is where we are.
Mhm.
I've got another question that relates to the map.
Yeah.
We've got one special grade district on Main Street. In that grade district, parking permitted 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. What's the speciality for that one stretch for that? kind
Which
of-
street was that?
It's the gray one down in front of the dairy.
Oh, yeah.
From, parking was permitted when, tell me again?
7 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Oh, okay.
Here, mm,
Parking permitted 7 a.m. to 9
In
p.m.
front of the dairy.
Don't know.
I mean, we've got,
This is from 2010.
yeah,
As in, why isn't it green?
no, yeah, I mean, there's just some specificity there that I don't understand.
Why it has to end at 9 p.m. and no overnight?
Well, no overnight in the winter.
Right, but other than that, you could park there
Well, I think we should have overnight.
14,
parking.
yeah, but you've got 14-hour parking.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I wouldn't, we'd have to go back and look at the.
But all these greens are allowed
From
all the time.
2010.
Yeah, I don't think there's any current parking there anymore since they did the lane configurations.
Was-
Yeah,
Oh.
there's a spot that, no, I mean, I think it starts
Just
past the driveway into the dairy. You still
There's a
can
little
park in
bit.
front.
Yeah, there's still some there.
I think there's fewer spots also because of the pedestrian refuge.
it was in that section.
Yeah,
and again, this whole map may change depending on what we decide.
yeah, we're gonna need to revise it.
Right,
anyway, I
right.
think. I don't know that it's 100% accurate.
Yeah, I was just curious about that one section.
That's a good point, though. I have no idea.
Sorry to jump in, same
No, no.
thing, is, down south of Stonegate across from, like near my house across from
Mhm.
yours, that parking isn't there anymore, the DOT took it away.
Need to revise the map. It's
Yeah,
a
the map
2010
needs to
map.
be updated.
Yeah.
That's-
Totally.
Okay, action item, update.
Yeah. My other question is, if you take a look, Sutherland High School obviously has its own parking lot, but if you take a look at the part of Sutherland that's near Monroe,
Mhm.
it's restricted to 2 hours during school days, but the part of Sutherland, like right across the street from the high school, is not.
Mhm.
I think it's
So are they allowing students to park there? Because that's what would happen.
because there's no houses on
Yeah.
that side.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So they're allowing students. to
It's up
park there.
against the
Okay.
campus.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
They're,
Okay.
what they're doing, unlike anywhere else, is they're allowing their residents to have a little bit of street side parking for a 2-hour visit. Does it really make sense? Could it be green? Probably, but it would be used by students the entirety of the day.
Right.
They would take the spaces.
They would take the
They
spaces.
would definitely take the.
And so I think what we're saying here is 2 hours for a resident access is better than nothing.
Yeah.
Probably during the day.
So another piece of this, so I mean, I know we don't have a whole lot of time, but I think coming out of this then is, Steve, just going back and taking a look at, the variances needed for when businesses come in for parking over the last, what did you say, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah.
We're gonna go 5 years.
5 years, you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah.
It's going for 5.
Okay.
You want to
There we
hear
go.
6? Okay, okay.
There we go.
Just, let's take a chunk of time and we can just see sort of
Let's try to make
a pattern or not. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, so I just had some comments. I'm
Yeah.
just being quiet and listening in.
Hang on,
Yeah,
Dave's talking.
Part of this, thanks. Part of this is, it is an issue to figure out. I do tend to agree that probably more flexibility is inherent, but I just want to put a couple things together. So first off, we talked a lot about enforcement. So what the requirements or the necessity to have parking did is it removed the necessity to be very strong with enforcement. So if we remove the parking requirement, we're going to have to go much stronger with enforcement. It's just a balance. Which one do you prefer, right? At the end of the day, if we want to go the enforcement route versus requiring parking, I think that's fine. I would like to see two things though. One is some empirical evidence. What villages in suburban, minor metropolitan areas of our size have done this? I know Saratoga Springs has, right? That's not near the larger cities. I know Canandaigua has. I know Hudson has. And each of them have their own ways that they're addressing it, but they're also not. Hudson, for example, has substantial public transportation coming into it. Saratoga Springs, not so much. Not so much. Canandaigua, it's big enough, a little different. But I'd like to see some empirical evidence of who's done this, and then what's the result then? What have the challenges been? And I don't really think we should be the first mover. Some of the examples in the stories, you can go on to Google Maps and you can drive down that main street and see what it's like. And for the most part, it's just diagonal parking as far as the eye can see in front of everything. They had setbacks of 30 feet. And it was a radically different city. Or in another one, it was such a small town in rural America that they didn't have the population influx that could come in to a highly desirable restaurant that might pop up on the corner, right? So just some things to think about. I'd like some empirical evidence. Two things that come to mind locally that are the inverse of this. Bushnell's Basin. Remember the bar that went in? They had a major parking problem because it was so wildly successful, 7 stories.
Oh, 7 stores.
Okay, they basically didn't have a parking requirement, or to the extent that they did, they overflew it into that municipal parking right there on the edge. Everybody parked on the street, right? When 7 stories sold, the special permit for no parking requirements had to be renewed with Fairport in order to be able to do the same thing. Fairport said, no, thank you. We made a mistake. The parking requirement is not allowing you to sell beer in the lower half of the bar. That's why you can't sell beer down there anymore. Because Fairport said we made a mistake specifically around parking, right? So that was a major issue. It's why it's different now. Safety is much better with a parking requirement. The second thing, you guys probably know Kettle Ridge Farm. Let me just, if I
Okay,
could
but
continue.
there's
I'll turn it back.
something else about that
Yeah.
that I think has been.
Another one is Kettle Ridge Farm, right? Kettle Ridge Farm is going out to Fairport. It's a little bit more in the country. But no, in this case, no zoning per se. They made this wonderful thing in the middle of the woods where you go out, listen to music, have some drinks, whatever. And there was parking to the eye could see on the main drag.
Main busy street.
Right?
31.
On 31.
Big.
And guess what they did? They shut down all the parking, right? So there are risks to eliminating parking requirements that you could have a wildly successful business out there. We don't want that, but that it overwhelms the rest of the environment. And I just want to be thoughtful for that. I want to listen to, see some empirical evidence. And the other thing that's most important here for me is we've talked about it before, we haven't done it yet, which is a business owner roundtable. We're talking about who's not here, right? To give permits to parking. I want to talk to who's here. What's their success been? What's their experience with parking been? What are the challenges that they have? We may hear, or the planning board may hear from a real estate owner, but maybe not the business itself. So I think it's important to talk to them, see what works, see what doesn't, see how we can
You've
move
always
forward.
wanted that.
So for me, I think there's 2 things. I'd like to see some empirical evidence of similarity, size, and then a business owner roundtable before I move forward to support anything. Not that I'm not leaning in that direction, but I think those are 2 key things we should do.
I'd like to speak to both the examples that you gave, Bushnell's Basin and Kettle Ridge, where they didn't have any pieces in place at all in terms of parking. I see those as oranges and I think we're an apple. Because we have these pieces in place and we already are going to be presenting our empirical evidence about the impact of those pieces in place. And I was thinking about, you know, do we do a pilot? What does that look like? I always think that if we say we, you know, and I agree with John, if we eliminate the mandates and then we realize not the best thing, we may need to tweak that, that's something different. You know, we just, okay, we maybe need a step back. What we know now, I mean, we've all agreed that this is a problem. So that's, here we are. Kettle Ridge, rural area, no zoning for this, you know,
Yep.
they just realize, ooh, something different. Okay. Same thing with that whole strip along there in Bushnell's Basin, completely a different level of activation. We're activated. We're built out, you know.
What we can do is have that.
But just to finish my thought, so I appreciate the fact that you want to look for something that's quite similar. This is our village. We know the conditions here. We can show the evidence of the conditions here. I don't know that it's as important to, are we the first to do this? I don't care if we are. I think we need to take a look at what's best for our community, you know, and the business environment here, period. You know, I mean, to me, whether we've done it, no one's done it, a village our size is completely irrelevant. We're here now. We need to make these decisions and move things forward and support our business community and our neighbors. That's all.
Aurora did work through, they took over Perceptive Story.
Mhm.
They've been able in the last year to work through the parking issues,
Mhm.
both work here at the town hall side.
That's right. They worked across.
And a few other areas there on the same side of the road. And I know they were working with, I believe, the town as well to gain access to maybe 200 yards north of their location, a parking area that's right along the canal.
Yeah, that's owned by Canal Corp.
And they built
Yeah.
a trail, so now they have, I believe they have allowable rights to be able to park there as well. And now they have their outdoor lower serving area and music.
They probably entered into an agreement with Canal Corporation to lease that area to be able to do it.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
just a matter of talking to the neighbors, talking to,
Mhm.
you know, the area businesses to kind of come up with an agreement of how everybody can kind of work harmoniously. So obviously in our village, we've got, everybody wants to see each other succeed. I would think for the most part, if we didn't.
What are you doing? Yeah. What are you doing?
So do you think that we also, though, should consider size? For instance, I'm just thinking to myself, what if like Crate and Barrel came into the Bank of America building, right? This huge retail. I mean, do we need to think about, we would love it, but do we need to think about
in their
size?
algorithm.
You know, maybe just think about an upper scale size that we might need to have some oversight on.
Crate and Barrel, you've got a 43 space parking lot. You know what I mean? So it's like, does that 43 sustain when now this is a public lot or a municipal lot?
Yeah.
And then let's just say two other businesses going over where Rachel's is and say where the Chandeliers used to be, that are gonna increase their patronage too. You know, either way, our parking is, if you look at the numbers. we
Again,
actually have-
if we look at what we should be doing,
Yeah.
we're waiving the regulations unless we get that peculiar application.
Right.
Steve's gonna be able to flag that and say, hey, this one has to go to the planning board. We're
Yeah,
gonna have
It's
to
gonna
put
be
something
a huge impact, yeah.
With just a couple follow-ups.
Good point.
So the first thing is some of the best days in the village is when every single parking spot is full, all the way to the I can see into the residential district. So if we do have a 7-story type issue where you have a big massive, you know, success story, it's gonna bleed into residential districts, possibly more so than the 2-hour spots on Main Street. So I do agree, it's a different scenario. I still like the idea of having empirical evidence. Who's done this? What were the goals and objectives? Did it succeed? What were the problems? Just so that we have some awareness going into it. That said, a couple other just quick things, which is 2 of our major lots that we have, that businesses may rely upon, are under contract, the Breathe contract and the fire district contract,
Well, there's also the library.
And the library.
Well, the library,
Yeah.
so the library.
Massive.
But we have 2 big lots that are lease-based, right? One, I think, is 10 years, is Breathe 10 year?
Mhm.
Or 10, not 5?
Is that we did 10?
No.
Just
It was 10. Oh, no. It might not be.
I think.
Might be
I think
5.
it is 5.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have a 90-day escape clause, like the fire district does, but the fire district has a shorter one. So one of the other things is to what degree, given the uncertainty of consistency within that parking, should we have an understanding with businesses who come in and assume there's a certain amount of parking, and the next thing you know, maybe it doesn't exist, maybe it isn't there. And so I don't know, it's just this honesty of conversation to have with business owners that are already here, not just the ones that are applying for new businesses, I think makes a lot of sense before.
So do we take,
That's why we're reaching out to the chamber.
Well,
Yeah.
but just quickly to go back to like my original thing was that, again, saying that on one end of the spectrum, we have effectively get rid of any requirement. On the other is some sort of data to say, here's a formula to calculate kind of what might make sense. And to do that, you need to talk to the businesses. Because you go to a Village Bakery or whatever, you look at their parking lot, clearly they can probably use more. Every day you're seeing cars needing to back out,
Okay. They don't even meet their parking requirement now.
No,
You know what I mean? In other words,
But all,
again,
but
I
all,
go back to
if I
the
could-
category of who are we kidding?
Yeah. So what all I'm saying is that if you could talk to them and I'm sure they'd say, yeah, I wish we could have X number of parking spots based off of our customer base and how many people come in.
Mhm.
We wish we could have this. That just at least gives us some sort of insight into, okay, this square footage of a building.
But the width has not affected their business. Their business is just
But then,
working,
but
right?
then going back to what John was saying, which is it kind of finds its own thing between the regatta, candlelight night. I'll tell you, I live all the way, way further away from Main Street. And it's packed
Yeah.
on Rand and everything, and people
Mhm.
walk.
That's great.
You
Yeah.
find a way to
Yeah,
do it.
yeah.
Those are the best days, right?
And so that's the thing, is that you get this mix of kind of like, if you want to go to
Memorial
the
Day
thing,
parade.
you'll figure it out.
Yeah,
You'll
it seeks
find
at
a
all
way.
levels.
There is
This is my
flexibility.
final thought on the matter. We can, in looking at the section that you brought up further, that's C, you can go through and you can say, what of all of these things do we really want? Right? Could be restaurants, could be retail, and you can eliminate the parking requirements for that and leave it for the rest. You don't have to do
Ooh.
carte blanche.
That would, there would be a legal challenge.
Right. Is it
Potentially.
We
spot?
already do differentiate. We-
Yeah, well,
Like,
Right, the boards do make exceptions when they
Yeah.
want.
it's
it
just
doesn't
like-
matter if it's right or wrong. I think we would still get a legal challenge if
Well-
we were to do it. That's all I'm saying.
so to follow up on Dave's point, do we carry this over to February? Do we have enough time to open this workshop to that business roundtable?
Mhm.
Where, even make it a lunch and we provide sandwiches.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I agree.
get the businesses in here to say,
Mhm.
okay, spring's coming, we'd like to get this resolved early.
Yeah, at least it's a slower time of year for them.
Yeah,
Jason, I know you had a comment, and then Alexandria, I wanted to run something by you too. Yeah. Oh, Steve, you do too, but Jason first and then you. Jason first and then you, because he had his hand up first.
There was an element of enforcement involved. And I don't know which direction this conversation takes us as far as do we involve more enforcement or less because of the regulations? But something to keep in mind is that we only have one enforcer through the village and the town who doesn't work full time. So the enforcement level, depending on which way we go, would increase or decrease. Decrease is fine, but increase, then, how do we, if we want to increase our enforcement?
Comes back to you guys writing the tickets
Okay.
and the code, and we're gonna look at that, and that's an action item that the mayor has. Yes.
Has to be involved.
Yeah, yeah. And then Steve, you had a comment.
Well, and what David said, or something that just kind of caught my ear, you could, because the use chart creates the need for certain types of business to have to go to that parking regulation. Rather than removing everything, you might be able to do it based on types of businesses, the ones that are most apt to create the variant situation.
Understand, but I do think we'll get litigation.
I'm okay with
I
it.
understand. I don't know that I am always, I think if we can craft something that serves everybody to avoid litigation, I'm all for that. That's just me. Alexandria, I'm just getting back. Hi there. Hello. Just getting back to the whole business roundtable. I know you've been trying to really reach out and
Yeah, so when we had our November workshop, about signage and
Yeah.
wanting to involve the business owners. Trustee Marshall and Trustee Wilkes would like a business owners list that has taken some time to get updated.
Yep.
And with holidays and whatnot, I think Steve and I are in a good place with that list.
okay.
To send out the invites for, or run some dates now.
Okay.
But we wanted to see who was coming, and yeah, that took a little bit of time because businesses have come and gone since the last.
Yeah, you
list
wanted the
that we
most current,
created.
the current list, of course.
So do you think it'll be more appealing, number one, to do it like, and have a lunch? Number two, maybe have a two for it, that signs and parking. So that makes it even more intriguing for.
Are you asking me or?
Oh, So we didn't get a signage, business roundtable together. So now that we've got the list,
I think we just have a couple of topics.
right, like signage and parking for, and then that would make it more appealing. Businesses would want to come because one may want.
And whether it's during lunch or, well, for a lot of businesses, they're not gonna be able to do it, but, I would think it would probably have to be at, like on a Monday. Didn't we talk about that on a Monday, slow day?
We're waiting because
Like
it's
at
winter, people leave
Yeah.
on holidays. It sounds like you guys are ready to look at the calendar. if
Yeah.
you wanna-
Yeah,
I
I
feel
know,
good.
but
Dates.
let's
Yeah.
try to move
Do it,
forward
yeah.
on some
I
of
think we
this,
should.
that would be great.
I like the sound of that.
I think we should.
And we could just maybe look at two to
Mhm.
start out
Yeah,
with.
let's do that.
I'm not gonna do like a poll or anything to the businesses. We could.
Let's offer these dates
Yeah.
and see who can
Yep.
come.
So are we
we'll-
talking about Mondays at 6, Mondays at 5:30? What are we thinking?
I heard lunch and I heard evening, so.
I don't, I think if you own a restaurant, you won't come in at lunch. I think you may have a better shot with a lot of business owners who have
5:30?
shorter winter hours. If we do it at
Or
6,
6?
I think we would have a better shot at getting
Mondays.
So
people.
how does February 2nd at 6 sound?
Here, we have, the deputy clerk is gonna. pull
That's
us the
2 weeks
dates.
away. It's kind of tight to me to see.
It is
to get
very
the
tight.
mailing out.
Okay.
Can you look at the next week or Steve? Do you want to be present during something like this with the business owners? Cause you're on vacation. What do you guys?
Well, let's
think?
look at if you can make, well, if he's on vacation, he's on vacation. We need to at least get something going.
That's-
What about the 9th or the 23rd?
The 9th looks really good. For
Ninth,
the
we have
village
that,
calendar.
planning board meeting, pre-meeting.
Oh, is a planning board meeting?
No.
No, that's
I'm
just,
sorry.
that's something different.
Oh,
You guys
okay.
can meet in the mayor's office.
Well, not with our whole.
Oh.
with all
No,
the
no,
business.
no, this is PZA only. I'm
This is a
sorry.
different board.
Yeah, you have
Yeah,
to sign a shot.
meeting.
You guys, you could choose any time. Yeah, so whoever's involved in that day can meet earlier in the day if you wanted.
Yeah, and
to,
you can always
or an
use
hour
my
before.
office.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
always-
and that works.
So it's February 9th,
Or-
6th, or what's
Or
another day?
February 23rd.
23rd,
Did you say 16th or 6th? February 9th?
9th or
9th at
23rd?
6,
Oh, 9th at 6.
or 23rd at 6.
9 or
Both
23rd.
of the
So you send
Okay.
it out.
half cancel
So let's,
on the
let's,
scouts.
let's run with the,
What? Which one? Which one? Which day? Okay.
The 9th, but
Yeah, I have a meeting on the 9th too. 23rd is better for me. I mean, I can cancel too.
23rd would be good.
Yeah, can we try 23rd and if that, I'll cancel
and they
9?
can switch things around.
I like.
23rd.
Yeah, 23rd.
And
Yeah.
so.
Okay,
good.
Let's run with that.
Okay.
All right? Okay, our time's pretty much up. I just want to run through action items.
I'm sorry, Mayor, am I
Yeah.
offering both or we're just gonna go with the 23rd on the calendar for everyone?
23rd.
idea.
23rd. 23rd.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
let's rock it out. Yeah,
At 6, right?
wow.
Yes.
We all
Okay.
decided on one day. Okay. So the action items are, to look at, speak with our attorney, speak with the magistrate about, escalating code fees. And also the magistrate about the concerns we have that the tickets are being dismissed and the impact it's having on our village because, there's no teeth in any of our enforcement. And I'll make a decision if you don't mind, whether, Jeff might know the judge and say, hey, I can just maybe make a call or I could too. It will sort that. Okay, you guys. We are gonna bring back the draft of the escalation of the, revised fees that have been submitted. I'm gonna circulate it with you, Steve, and you, Jason. I forgot, also with the attorney, it's about whether or not you are actually officially authorized by code to write tickets. I just want to confirm that. Another action is we're going to reach out to the Chamber of Commerce, one obviously for the business roundtable, but also this is really what we're looking at in terms of parking, some other things that we're doing. the action for Steve is to go back over a 5-year period and look at, the number of businesses coming before the board, or Alexandria.
We'll
Yeah.
work together.
It's,
You identified.
we're gonna tag team the whole thing, the number of variances. Okay, just so we kind of have an idea on that. We will need to update our 2010 parking map. I think we can do actually just a quick update on that, and it sounds like based on everything else, we may want to update again. Dave, you wanted, to see what other, municipalities have done. And how, whether there've been issues. Okay,
And we all can research that. I'll try myself.
yeah, that'd be great,
But if you happen to want to send a note out to maybe Nikon knows, you know,
Could
Mhm.
you clarify, like, when you're thinking about empirical data, what's your research question? Like, what do you really want to know when we're looking for
what
the data?
villages in the Northeast, in a suburban setting like ours.
We're actually
Well,
not suburban.
Suburban.
We are an urban area,
All right.
a very
Village.
small
Village.
urban area.
Okay,
Small.
so a small urban area without substantial public transportation. Have done this, and then what's the result then? Like, what is their 2-3 years?
Has it helped?
I
Has
mean,
it,
this is
yeah,
a
that kind of
relatively
thing.
new swing
Mhm.
in urban planning. And I would say it's probably 5 to 7 years old. There's gotta be. We've already
Buffalo's
seen it.
going into 9 years.
But, something like Hudson might be as close as you can get,
Mhm.
Saratoga, but are there others?
I'm gonna look at Elderville as well.
What's their
Oh, that's a good
experience?
one.
What's their experience?
Rockport would be good too.
Right,
Oh, yeah.
Support.
right.
No, I'm actually just gonna poll, the Monroe
Yeah.
County Mayor's Association.
Research codes of some of the local villages.
Yeah.
See what they have for parking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And then,
Get a consensus.
exactly.
Mayor, if you could ask in your
Mhm.
note to the attorney 2 things. Can we eliminate requirements by use table? That 135, right?
Mhm.
So is that okay? I believe it is. It's just a matter of what the risk is.
it probably is, but I'm just saying, I think
Okay,
we'll
yeah,
get
I understand.
pushback,
And
yeah.
then the follow-up to that too is, could you eliminate parking in only certain zones? So you could eliminate in TDD, but not in the Erie Canal. I suspect the answer to that is yes as well. So is there a benefit to that or not? And I don't know that.
You're just saying
And-
certain parking requirements based on the zoning location.
Yeah, so in the zone, you could take that use table,
Yeah.
have 2 columns instead of 1.
Mhm.
These zones, these apply, these zones that
Yeah,
applies.
I got you.
And then I think the ultimate question coming out of this is, to what end would it benefit the community by having parking restrictions only in certain zones when we're built out anyway? In other words, I think it's not a singular question. I think it's a much larger question, because the framework for this whole issue is we are a built-out community with a certain amount of parking. That's the overarching framework of this, and I've had this discussion with the town supervisor on many occasions, and he said, the only thing he goes that we have is we'll put in an underground parking garage below the library. Okay,
Yeah.
move the books over.
So can I ask,
You
if the
know.
board also agree with having the chamber come to the business roundtable?
Yeah, we,
Okay.
they know
They get an
about that.
invite. Okay.
Yeah.
I had noted one other action item, and that was the potential to ID business and town vehicles.
Yeah, I had that down. I
Oh,
had that
okay.
down. Yeah, I didn't get to that yet, but you're absolutely right.
John,
Yeah.
do you kind of agree with like potentially license plate registration?
Oh, yeah, something that we can identify who's violating.
I can
In
tell-
case they don't put the sticker on the car.
But I can tell you on an informal basis, the traffic monitor for the town and village already does that. He's certain employee vehicles, like he has all the plates, he has everything.
Yeah, I think you want to be.
He has, there's a concern because he works with the town about how he enforces it.
Mhm.
It
In the
could be
village?
sorted out outside of this.
Mhm.
It's,
I think you want to be careful putting the onus on the businesses to register, time to get a new one in a new car and a new license. But I think the intent is completely appropriate.
I mean, it could be a sheet of paper I'm looking.
I suppose not.
okay. No, I think this was a great discussion. I appreciate everybody's input. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Steve or Jason? You're good? Okay. Any other big thoughts? Okay, thanks, everybody.
Want to make a motion then?
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying, look at the
I
time.
know,
like,
perfect.
God.
Uh,
The time, I did a typo of 12:30 this meeting and no one really caught it until this morning. And then Dave showed up at 12. Do you want to keep the workshops at noon or 12:30?
What's better for you guys? Cause I.
Yeah.
12:30 works better for me.
Dave.
Yeah, not good for you.
Why?
I usually teach till 12.
And I don't think
So how about 12:15?
12:15?
Better than 12:30.
Okay, split the difference.
Well,
Does that work?
I don't know,
I
it's
don't
fine.
know.
I mean,
Okay.
as long as I know, it really doesn't matter.
Okay,
12:15, the website is going to be updated.
okay, thank you. Okay.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks for
Thank
exactly.
you.
Okay, I make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Okay.
Ooh, that was.
Is that from teachers? Trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Trustee Wilkes?
Aye.
Trustee Coe?
Hi,
Trustee Lundberg?
Aye.
Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thanks, everybody.
Can I
thank you. Alexander, what's our
Stay
next
warm.
meeting?
Yeah.
And
27.
20
That's your